Hi, my name's Katie. I'm co-founder of Step Up Create, and in this video we're going to be looking at the creative process. And I'm sorry, before we even start, I'm going to tell you that I can't give you a definitive model for the creative process. And yet there exist some really useful models in order to refine and put a framework around your creative process. The first of these is included in a recent article in the Harvard Business Review, which is called Bringing Your Breakthrough Ideas to Life. And the second is the Double Dimond structure, which is developed through design thinking in California. In the article, the authors highlight 5 different stages of a creative process. They do mention that doesn't necessarily happen in that order and they may jump around, but let's look at them in order to get some sense out of it. The first step is all about attention. Paying attention to what's around you, observing how you interact with things, how other people interact with things, whatever. Pay attention, having that beginner's mind, looking at things with a new lens. Then you can move on to taking perspective. So this is the idea of asking yourself questions like, if we didn't do it how we do now, how might we be able to do it? So this will give you a new perspective, a different way of looking at something that you've come across many times. And then, once we get to that stage, we can start the ideation stage. And this is the part where we're generating as much ideas as possible. This is imagination. As many ideas as possible, as crazy as possible, we can filter them after we've put them all down or got them all out there. And then, once we filter them, we can go into testing, experimentation, getting as many prototypes done as possible, getting them to fail as early as possible, so we're not investing millions and millions of euros into developing a prototype which would have failed as a paper prototype, costing us less than €5 to make. The last stage of this model is navigation, and this is all about implementing your innovation, getting your model out there on the market. And one of the most important things here is how you storytell around this product, how you are framing what you have done so that it makes sense to the final consumer, to the investors, or to anybody else that needs to buy into that product or that innovation. So let's have a look at the Double Dimond Model. This was developed in design thinking and it's pretty much applicable to any creative process. So I've used this when working with theatre. I've used it also when creating a piece of artwork or writing something or even creating these videos. So the first thing that we do here is to really open up and get as many ideas as possible on what the problem is. What's the thing that we're trying to solve? What are we actually trying to do? What's out there? How can we empathize? How can we observe? All of this kind of information. And once we've got all of that information, the next stage is going to be narrowing it down to clearly define what the problem is or what we want to do. And once we've got that, we can open up again, we can do the ideation, have lots of crazy ideas, open that as wide as possible, and then when we've got enough ideas, or we think we've got enough ideas, focus down again through testing, through prototyping, through seeing if it works. And this is in a creative process like painting, it's just simply painting and making it work. You've seen people like Rembrandt who've got hundreds and hundreds of versions of some of their famous paintings. This is the prototyping phase, until finally, having tested all of the options, we get to a final product or final prototype. And then from there, it's going into implementation.